except I see the wind is blowing our way. This is great.
Hello everyone, I am Ambassador Maddie Cary here at Eating Brother Farms, here for an onion harvest, and the harvester's coming at me right now, so I'm going to show you a little footage of the harvester, and then we'll talk with Mike about the crop and kind of the process that's going on right now. All right, Mike, would you like to tell me about your operation here?
Sure. Here at Eating Brothers Farm, we grow roughly 160 acres of celery, 60 acres of onions, and today obviously we're watching the onion harvesting. As I was explaining to Madeline earlier, our onions, we pre-lift them before we harvest, so we pop them up out of the ground. They're usually halfway in the ground, just to help dry them out and go through the harvester better. Today they're picking red onions, and it's not the majority we grow is yellow cooking onions, and we started doing some red onions a few years ago. I would say we're relatively new to onion growing, probably in the last 20 years or so. But we got 4 guys working at it today, and they're trying to get as much done as they can. We got good weather.
So you are doing red onions here, and you said you're pretty new to red onions, or you don't?
We don't grow as many of
Okay.
them.
Why are they harder to grow?
Some people have said yes. The market, typically you can get rid of yellow onions for cooking faster than what you can get rid of red onions, at least in this area. So that's kind of what dictates the different percentages we grow.
I got a comment that says, "It looks breezy outside, have Mike talk louder." So can you tell me what the process is from the beginning to the end? Like, when do you plant it? How do you plant it? What does the summer look like as far as scouting and all of that?
Sure. We start planting onions middle to end of March, basically as soon as the frost is out of the ground and there's enough soil temperature to start planting. We direct seed all our onions, so if you know what corn planting looks like, it's very similar, just a different style planter. We use pelleted seed, and so this field in general was planted in March, maybe the last week, so it's been here a long time. Once its stuff has been starting to grow, we do scouting, like Madeline was saying. It's weekly, and we will spray only what is needed when it's needed. So cost effectiveness and that kind of stuff as well. So we're not an organic farm. We are an organic soil being muck, but we do spray things when we have to.
What kind of things do you spray? A lot of consumers want to know what's going on their crop or what's going on their food. What do you guys spray?
We're using different types of herbicides early on in the year, and that stuff typically is done at least 45 days before harvesting, so all of the residues and stuff should be off. Fungicides is probably the biggest thing that we work with during the summer. For bacterias, coppers and bleach are about your best solutions. There's not much out there for bacterial stuff, but fungicides start, I'll say May to June area, and you'll run them up as long as you can before your pre-harvest intervals.
We have a question here, and for all of the viewers, you can ask questions at any time. How long do they sit on the ground before being picked up into the harvester?
These have probably been on the ground lifted up close to a week, kind of weather dependent. If things were wet, they'll sit longer. They got to be dry in order to harvest them, because you don't want to put a bunch of wet product in those cribs. They will dry as they sit there, but it's just more moisture to get out.
Is there can they sit on the ground for too long? If they do that, is it going to affect them at all?
I think so, yes, because you can get moisture underneath them sitting here too. The whole onion is never always exposed to the sun, so I think you can get some color changes or things like that. We try to stay within a week of lifting to harvest and getting them off the field.
What does your employment look like here?
We have a total of, I'll say, 2 dozen to 2.5 dozen workers. Majority are packaging celery. We've got 4 guys today working with onions, and they'll get through quite a bit of this field and some others yet today.
Are those seasonal workers or full-time workers?
Combination. We've got 5 full-time workers, I believe, and then the rest are all seasonal.
Okay. What challenges did you face during COVID? Obviously, it was hard to get workers for everybody,
Yep.
and it looks a lot different in agriculture than other places. Would you like to?
Getting workers was a struggle. We had to change some things in the coop, wearing masks. I mean, most people were already wearing gloves, aprons, and that kind of protective stuff, but going through with the masks and making sure people are keeping track of their health concerns, and if something comes up, to speak up sooner than later, and just keeping an eye on everything.
All right, we have another question from a viewer. Do you sort your own onions?
We do not. What you see here with them putting the onions in the bins when they went by, that's as far as we go. We haul those bins directly to a packer. They will clean them up, package them in whatever size onions that are being ordered.
Where do your crops get sent to? Is it local? Is it out of state?
We send them to local packers, but from the packer, they can go wherever they get sold.
Okay. How do you make sure you are practicing sustainability?
Sustainability? By not overdoing things or overusing fertilizers or pesticides and stuff like that aren't needed. Like I said, we use Scouts weekly in both crops, celery and onions, and we use those recommendations to purchase the material and make the right decisions.
When your scouts come out here, do they have how do they log their data and send it to you?
One is paper copy. So we do celery twice a week, so things can change there a little bit faster than with onions. For onions, our scout will come once. He will email me a recommendation, and then I can converse back and forth with him as what we decide to end up spraying. And then that's all logged for any food safety stuff that comes up. So if you want to see what's sprayed, you pull up our spray records and at the packers, and they have that open to them.
All right, we have 2 more questions from the viewers. Do you rotate crops?
Yes, we do. We try to grow celery maybe 2 to 3 years in a row, and then rotate into onions. I would say 2 years of celery, 1 year of onions is ideal. It doesn't always happen.
What is the most popular onion variety?
I think every grower has their own. We probably grow at least 10 different varieties, and that's just so that you can see what works best on your farm. We log everything. We'll know, like this variety here, we'll know what it packs out as, and we'll have a binder full of information to make our choice next year when we buy the seed.
What do you think is the most challenging part about growing specialty crops?
Weather.
Weather? Yeah.
Weather. This year's been very interesting with weather.
Yes, that is very true. What's your favorite part about farming a specialty crop?
It's different. It's not what you always see. There's a lot of hands-on labor here, especially with celery. But I mean, you see 4 guys running around here. They'll sit and talk with each other here and there. But it's more hands-on, which is kind of fun.
So do you want to explain how they're harvesting? So I showed them like them going past, but can you kind of explain how they have to do this? Like how they have to come back around and...
So with our harvester, it only harvests on one side of the machine, so they can only harvest going one way. So you'll see them, they're harvesting away from us right now. They'll turn around at the end and come back and start again and just keep working their way one way across the field. If we had the same onions across the whole field, we would start right in the middle. Then we would harvest in a circle, which is a lot nicer. We just didn't have that option here this year.
So they're down there, you can see they're at the end, and then they'll have to come back around here and start so that it can be the right way. Another question, how many acres do you farm?
We farm a total of about 225.
And that's all specialty crops?
Yes.
We have another question. How long will today's get sorted before they get packed?
I don't know.
Stored.
It can vary. These are storage onions, so this variety we've had in our coolers before till February.
Okay.
It just depends on how fast the packers move them out and are requesting them.
What are the costs of growing this crop? You know, it can vary based on year and weather and all of that, but as far as inputs and what are market prices of onions?
I am not familiar with what the actual market price is at the moment. Input costs, it's a lot different than your row crops. You're talking probably thousands of dollars an acre.
Oh, wow.
To grow, and so you're looking to get that back out, obviously, but I don't have that number right off the top of my head. I can try and get it for you if you really want.
No. I was just curious because we know that specialty crops are very expensive to grow.
I know for onions, we would really like to see 1 semi-load per acre, if not better, which would be 800 bushel to an acre. So that's our goal. Obviously that changes with weather and everything else, but...
So when we were trying to coordinate this, you said that you guys do not harvest in the mornings. Would you like to explain what your workers do until they start harvesting?
Sure. The same gentlemen that are out here running the harvester and moving the wagons around, they're also helping me in the morning doing the same thing with celery. We machine harvest celery, so same type of process. We have wagons alongside, and they're hauling wagons around, bringing it back here to our packing shed. So they're doing that in the morning when it's dark, cold, damp out from the dew. We try not to do onions when they're really dewy. It just, like I say, more moisture in the crib. It's not a good thing for storage. So they're busy doing that, hauling product, taking the onions to the packer in the morning. And so afternoons are typically when we're harvesting onions.
When you're not harvesting, what do you do? Like what does a normal day look like out of harvest?
We start harvesting 5:30, 6 in the morning, and we'll be nice and try to get everybody done around 5, 6 o'clock. And it's harvesting all day long, whether it be celery or onions. Switch people around to make everything happen. It's busy. we'll hopefully be done in October.
So do both crops get harvested at the same time? What's the period for that?
We start harvesting onion probably in first part of August, middle part of August, and that'll go through September, first part of October probably. Celery we start in July, middle July, and that will take us this year into the middle to end of October.
Okay. See, they're coming back down here right now. For the new viewers, I'll show you guys how this process works. So they're gonna come down here, they have to come back here, and then they have to start harvesting or picking them up right here. If the viewers have any questions, just comment them and we'll get them answered. All right, we do have a few more questions. Who manufactured the harvester?
I want to say Bullpelt Farms is my guess. We bought it used, but I believe it's an old Bullpelt harvester.
Where does that come from?
I think this one was probably homemade.
Okay.
You can buy, there are newer ones. This is an airflow style, so the reason it's so dusty is there's big fans in there blowing all the debris out. They do have newer ones that have different roller tables that actually snap less dusty. Love to get one, just don't have one.
Yeah, yeah. How many acres can you harvest in a day?
All depends. If yields are good, obviously it's going to take longer to get through them. They'll probably, let's see, they started this was about 3 acres. That's probably about 1 o'clock they started harvesting 3 acres, and they'll have it done before 5.
Wow.
So this part of the process goes pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. So when you're harvesting, you said normally you like to get your guys out by 5. If the weather's bad, do you stay like later at night? How late can you work? Because the ground gets wet.
So,
yeah.
We have harvested late at night. If you know bad weather's coming, we'll stay later. Weather's looking good for the next couple days. Like I said, these guys have been here since 5:30, quarter to 6 this morning. It's a long day, and they've been doing this for a few months now. So,
another question: how long have you been doing specialty crops?
My grandpa, I believe, started this farm. So it'd be, I'm 4th generation along with my cousin. So it's been decades that we've been doing this.
Cool. Well, do any of the viewers have any more questions? I think we're getting ready to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you hopping on, and I hope that you guys learned as much as I did today.